Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Clark of the Paydirt Prospector here at the Metals Investor Forum in beautiful Vancouver. And I have Jordan Trimble, the CEO of Skyharbour Resources with me. He's joined me to talk about his company. Some exciting things coming. Jordan, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Jordan, before we get into the project, because you got a lot of things going on, tell us about your background. You've had some successes in your life, and you've also surrounded yourself with a good team. So the people seem like they might be in place, but tell the audience real quick the story about you and your team.
Sure. So yeah, I started in the industry almost 14 years ago now. I was at a gold company called Bayfield Ventures, where I was heading up the corporate development. We had success with a gold discovery, or really it was more the extension of a previous discovery, the Rainy River deposit. And we had success proving up the extension of the deposit on a block of ground that we had adjacent to the larger deposit. And ultimately it was acquired by New Gold in 2013 and 2014. And it was around that time my chairman, Jim Pettit, and I had a vehicle, a shell company, which was Skyharbour. It was about $1 million shell at the time, and saw a very unique contrarian opportunity to start acquiring uranium projects in the Athabasca Basin post Fukushima, and that's how we got started. And so it's been just over 10 years in the making. We've been focused on building a top tier, high quality Athabasca exploration name, a go-to name for high-grade discovery potential and prospect generation in northern Saskatchewan.
Yeah, in the Athabasca Basin and on the outskirts of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. Just real quick about uranium. The price shot up in February, corrected big. A lot of uranium stocks came down. Now it looks like it's stabilized and come back. But what's your long-term view of the uranium sector itself?
Look, I mean, there's been volatility in the spot price for uranium. We saw that the spot price, obviously, a year ago, it was even lower than where it is today. So, on the year, it's up. It shot up above $100 a pound. It's important to look at the long-term contract price, and that has steadily been increasing over the last year. From a year ago, call it $50, $55 a pound, where the spot price was as well, to $80 a pound, where both the long-term price and the spot price are currently. So you haven't had that volatility in the long-term contract price, and that's an important note and thing to mention. Now, as far as where I see the price going, needless to say, we're very bullish. I mean, the underlying fundamentals are very, very strong. You've got 200 million pounds of annual demand, and we're only producing about 150 to 160 million pounds of primary mine supply. We talked today about the 3 Mile Island restart announcement this morning, which sparked the sector. Amazing. Microsoft getting behind that. So the demand side is really starting to ramp up now with the advent of AI data centers and just the electrification we're seeing globally. But the supply side is very constrained, and still most supply coming from places like Kazakhstan, Russia, Uzbekistan, Niger, Eastern supply sources that aren't going to be as reliable for Western utilities.
That's great. Let's talk about the projects now. You've got a lot of projects. Some are farmed out, but you've kept 2 for yourself. So let's start there. Tell us about the 2 that you're working on now that you guys really like.
Yeah, so we have our 2 co-flagship advanced stage exploration projects. We own 100% of one of them, Moore Lake. We're earning in 51% at our Russell Lake project. We're basically complete that, so we'll form a joint venture with Rio Tinto at Russell. Those 2 projects, Russell we acquired just a few years ago. Moore Lake we acquired about 8 years ago. And those really have been the backbone of our exploration efforts over the last decade or so for the company. So as we talk today, we've got a 7,000 to 8,000 meter drill program. The second half of this big drill campaign in 2024 that's just commenced, 2,500 meters at Moore Lake, which is more high-grade resource expansion drilling. We have the Maverick zone there. We're working on an NI 43-101 that'll be out later, in the new year. And then at our Russell Lake project, it's still at more of an exploration discovery stage, whereby, yes, there's widespread mineralization, some high-grade hits. Very exciting for us that earlier this year, we intersected the best drill result at the project thus far, so up to 3% over a half a meter, 0.7% over 2.5 meters. shallow sandstone-hosted mineralization, which is very interesting. So we're now following that up because that was at a new target that hadn't been historically drilled. And so to go and hit in the first hole is very exciting, but we need to do the follow-up work with this upcoming drilling, which will start in October, and it'll be about 4,000 to 5,000 meters. So those are the two main assets. That's the focus for our drilling, and those are the two projects that we're primarily funding. We're fully funded as well for all of that drilling between now and year end. But we do have, as you mentioned, these other projects that we've optioned or JV'd out. So we have 7 current partner projects, either JVs or options, and we have these partners spending potentially upwards of over 80 million in combined project consideration.
Amazing.
Yeah, so quite significant amount. We're expecting 4, maybe 5 or 6 of them will be either drilling or carrying out exploration field programs within the next 6 to 8 months. So you got all that news flow on top of the news flow from our main drilling at Russell and more. And we still own 100% of various other projects, actually over 20 projects still that when you back out the 2 main projects and the 7 that are currently optioned or JV'd, we have 29 projects in total that we have interest in, over 1.4 million acres, making us the 3rd largest mineral tenure holder in the region. So it's a very dynamic story.
It is, yeah. Now, for those of you who don't know, Gwen Preston did recommend the stock. When we purchased her business, it came over. We decided to keep it. One thing that she really liked about it, and I really like about it, is we don't know how big the projects are going to be yet, Russell and more, but you're hitting some awfully high-grade stuff.
Yeah. No, look, the results are, Moore Lake, for example, we announced in July the results from the winter drilling, and we had a drill intercept where the highlight was 3 meters, 7.3%. That project, historically, we drilled it when we first acquired it, and one of the first holes we drilled, we intersected 21%. U308 over 1.5 meters. That was within 6 meters of 6%. So there's some very nice high grade, shallow sandstone hosted mineralization. Yeah. It's open at depth and along strike. And again, as I mentioned, that's the drilling that we just started another 2,500 meters. That is more for the resource expansion, trying to show, there's a decent sized deposit there that, ultimately we, through the lens of either ISR or Sabre as a mining method, could be quite interesting. And then at our Russell Lake project, as I mentioned, for the first time since we have acquired the project, intersected multi-percent and in a new zone, as I mentioned. So we're delivering some good numbers. I'm very excited for this upcoming program, though, because we're at a stage right now where any one of the next few holes, especially at Russell, given it's a relatively new discovery, any one of the next few holes there could be that multi-percent over multi-meter intercept that really gets the market moving.
And you said you have a resource update coming.
So what we're going to be early next year. So we'll finish the drilling that's at Moore Lake at the Maverick zones. There's several high-grade zones of mineralization, lenses of mineralization that make up a resource. So we're working on a resource estimate there that'll be out in the new year.
That's great. So over the next 6 months, you've got your own drill results at a couple different projects. Yeah. Drill results or other exploration progress at the partner fund. Yep. You got a resource update coming. Did I miss anything?
We've got as I mentioned, other projects in inventory in our prospect generator business. So I expect we'll see some news on new partners, new option agreements over the coming weeks and months. So keep an eye out for that as we continue to grow that prospect generator business.
Yeah, that's great. Lots of catalysts ahead. I'm in. I really like this stock. Jordan, thanks for joining me. I'm Jeff Clark of the Paydirt Prospector here at the Metals Investor Forum. Thanks for joining us.